Okay. Hi. Let me grab. So I was listening to Abundance Now, and I just pressed go live without even turning off my book or getting myself ready. I don't know. I looked at the clock and I was like 7:47. Click. And I should have taken a beat. Hold on. All right. Okay. So this is Travel Chat. Welcome to Travel Chat. This is a show where I use my crazy long commute to talk out my personal development and turn on the camera and tell you guys how I'm using law of attraction in my daily life. And on Mondays we talk about money, and every other day we talk about getting yourself together and becoming the designer and the co-creator of your life. So the philosophy behind this idea is that, you can work with God to make your dreams come true. You don't have to be afraid of trying to go after something you want or something you've wanted for a long time. You can actually take steps every day to make that happen. So when I figured this out, it changed my entire life. Hi, Diane. Okay, so the people who are watching the beginning, 2 minutes of this, are just getting me stalling because I'm waiting for you to come on. Only because you've already communicated with me this morning, so I know that you're, up and about, and I didn't want to just dive right in and ignore the fact that you were getting everything situated. All right, so the topic for today it's a question, and the question is, which is more deceitful, the heart or the mind? So if you're like me, you have grown up with this idea that, and actually I think it's from the Bible. I know it's from the Bible. I don't know why I'm saying I think it is. I read it several times. That, the heart is the most deceitful thing. Your heart is going to tell you the wrong thing. So you can't trust it. You can't trust your heart. You have to always think logically. I totally bought into this for my entire life up until now. I have always done what was the most logical thing to do, and in my own shallow wisdom, what would give me the best outcome, not even taking into consideration or even understanding that you can plan all day long. You can plan everything out in your life, and you can't predict what's going to happen instead. You can't measure out every scenario and get it exactly right. And it's very frustrating when you try to do that because it doesn't work. So that's how I spent my life, planning out every single possibility and trying to move forward with the most logical step that there is to take. And luckily, I did that long enough that I can look back on that and say that was not a good plan. And now, if I ever feel tempted to do that again, I'm like, no, don't do that. So I am the queen of the pro-con list. I used to be. Up until even a year ago, I was the queen of the pro-con list. I could make you a pro-con list that will help you make any decision ever. But that's not the best way to make decisions at all. Because you don't know what's going to happen in your life. You don't know what will happen down the road. So I grew up feeling like the heart was deceitful, and you had to trust your logical mind, and you cannot trust your heart. And in other words, you can't trust your feelings. That's basically what this means to me. You cannot trust your feelings. And so the interpretation that I got from church and all that is that your heart, when it says the heart is most deceitful, that means you can't trust your feelings. If you can't trust your feelings, you can't trust yourself, right? You can't use any kind of subjective evidence for anything. You can't go by your intuition. You can't go by that gut feeling, your gut instinct. You can't use that because it's going to trick you. Instead, you have to use your logic. You have to use objective information. You have to use the evidence. You have to use what someone else has told you, what the scientists have told you, what someone who's done this already, someone who's come before you, someone older than you and wiser than you. You have to use what they say is the best thing to do. You can't go by your own judgment. So what ended up happening is that I systematically, one by one, decision by decision, trained myself not to trust myself. I, little by little, over the course of my life, trained myself that my decisions were bad if they were based on my feelings. And I needed to go only with logic. And you can imagine how this turned out. So yes, I have a great life. I have an enviable career, I guess you would say, because some people, I don't know, some people look at my job and they're just like, that's too much, that's crazy. So I don't have an enviable career. I even think it's too much and crazy. But the salary that goes along with it, from the outside looking in, it's worth it. But I can tell you from where I'm sitting, it's gotten me out of debt, and that's great. But it probably got me in debt too. But anyway, I'm not going to play any kind of blame game or anything like that. It's just that from the outside looking in, on anybody's life, not just my life, on anyone's life, from the outside looking in, it looks like the grass is greener. But when I look at all the tiny, tiny decisions that I made to get me to this point, I wasn't making decisions based on my intuition at all. Maybe one. I think the choice of college I went to was based on my intuition, because I remember very specifically making that decision based on my feeling. But apart from that, I've made a lot of decisions based on other people's advice, and I've made a lot of decisions based on pro-con listing. If you don't know what a pro-con list is, if that's not making sense to you, it's basically when you take a piece of paper, put a line down the middle. On one side you put pro, on the other side you put con. You put the question at the top, or the different options at the top, and then you list the pros and cons of making a decision one way or the other. So you just list them, and then you go by which list has the longer amount of issues. So if your pro list, if you say yes to this decision, well, that list has 15 reasons why I should say yes. This list has 4 reasons, then you pick that one. I did this most recently when I was taking job offers in 2017, 2016 maybe, I don't know. Whenever it was that I quit hospital medicine, I was taking different job offers into consideration, and I made a pro-con list, just basically listing all the benefits of each offer that I had, and just trying to decide based on that. So it's a very, objective way to look at things and to take emotion out of decisions, and just be able to look and see what the real, when it all boils down, what's the real, what are the real things to take into consideration when you're making a decision like that. Like, so you have 4 different offers, and what do they all boil down to? So it's a good way to compare things. But the best thing to do is to be in the situation, meaning when you go on the interview. Before you go on the interview, do some meditation. Get your mind clear and centered and quieted, so that while you're in there, your intuition can pick up on things that you need to know. Like if I'm just thinking of other random stuff. I'm making myself laugh like a crazy person. But if you're in there and you get the feeling that the person who's interviewing you, or the manager or whoever, is not telling you the truth, that's something that you can't put that on a pro-con list. You can't prove they're not telling you the truth. But if you're centered and you're grounded and you got your spidey senses going, it'll start to tingle, and you'll be like, okay, something was weird about that statement. or they tour you around and you're seeing things, that normally you would just overlook, but because you're centered and you're aligned and you got your mind quiet, you got red flags popping up all over the place. Well, on paper, this may be the best job in the world. This may have all the greatest benefits. You may have a pro-con list that blows all the other options out of the water. It may have higher salary. It may have better benefits. It may be a shorter commute. It may have all kinds of wonderful things on paper. But when you put yourself in that position where you're at the interview and you've got all these red flags going up everywhere, here, there, and yonder, then you may decide not to take that better offer, a better sounding offer, because you just feel like something's not right. But if you go by your pro-con list and you trust your judgment that's based on logic and, objective information, taking all of your feelings out of it, then you may choose that job. And who knows, you may get in there and you get paid more, you have better benefits, but can you deal with a workplace bully for too long? Like, if you walked around in the interview and you saw red flags, you saw that no one who worked there was trying to make eye contact with you, you saw that people were in their offices with the door shut when your manager came walking down the hall or something like that. I'm totally making all this up. But you get what I'm saying. Like, those are the intangibles that normally you wouldn't pay attention to. But if you're tuned in and you decide, I'm going to go with my gut feeling on this, then you turn it down. And I actually did have to do that. I didn't intentionally do it. Anyway, it was I chose the job that I chose for different reasons than that, but because I learned this after that. So the question being, which is more deceitful, the heart or the mind? Morning, Jessica. Or it's not morning for you. You should be in bed, Missy. Shouldn't you? I think you should be. I think you should be very much asleep. It's like, what? Maybe it's the morning already. Is it like 5 o'clock? I don't know what time. I know how to do time zones. My wonderful friend is in Australia, and now she's watching, and this is weird to me. I don't know. I'm doing, my brain is doing jumping jacks trying to figure out what time it is for you. Okay, so which is more deceitful, the heart or the mind? This is what they tell us in church, that your heart is the most deceitful above. Hi, my cousin Tracy's watching. Above all, your heart is more deceitful. That is what we learn. That's what's in the Bible. But your heart is where your emotions live. Your heart is another sort of way to describe your emotions. And your emotions are really your guide. Your emotions are going to be your best guide. So your mind, let's talk about your mind. So if you trust your mind and you don't trust your heart, this is what happens. So your subconscious mind is constantly going to try to protect you. So as you grow up, every hurtful, harmful, dangerous thing that you learn from, you learned a lesson. Every one of these things is going to be stored in your subconscious mind is like a trap. Like, don't do that again because you almost died that time. There was somebody who said that she was swimming. She was swimming in a pool when she was a kid, and her dad was with her. Her dad had some kind of accident and he died, so she never got in the swimming pool again because she was always afraid. And so that's what your mind does. Your mind teaches you what to watch out for. Your mind is trying to protect you. It's a survival mechanism. It's not a bad thing. I mean, it's not trying to be mean. It's trying to keep you alive. So your mind is going to constantly create fear based on things that will keep you from getting into bad situations again. Not even like death, even things like relationships. Oh, you dated that guy that time. Remember that guy? Oh, don't ever date a guy like that again, because that was horrible and he broke your heart. So then you start building up these walls around things and you start having a lot of fear. So your mind is going to protect you, but at the same time, when you try to step outside of your box, you try to do something bigger or different or better, your mind is going to make you feel really, really scared and try to stop you and really try to hold you back from things. So you can't trust your mind. You can't trust it. Now you have to use it. You know, it's going to help you to accomplish your dreams, but the little voices, or they're not little, they're very loud and annoying. The loud and annoying voice or voices that try to talk you out of doing everything, those voices are not telling you the truth. Those voices are the most deceitful. Your mind is going to try to keep you safe, and it's going to basically lie to you. Your heart, on the other hand, if you feel uncomfortable, if you feel tight in your chest, if you feel like tense about a situation, that's the one that you should trust, because something's not right. Your heart is going to tell you the truth. Your mind is going to tell you you can't do anything. You're not smart enough. You're not good enough. You're not pretty enough. Why are you even trying? Nobody's going to like that. Nobody wants that. Nobody needs that. You're not ready. You're not prepared. Who do you think you are? What are you trying to do? Just go sit down. Go watch Netflix. Go lay down. Aren't you tired? Why are you trying to exercise? You're not going to lose any weight. Aren't you hungry? Go to the refrigerator. You know, this is the chatter that goes on in our minds, because our minds are deceiving us. What I've learned in the last 24 hours is that 97%, I made that number up, by the way. We're going to roll with it, though. I really want to say 99%, but I'm being generous. 97% of this world is comfortable just living their life, reacting to the chaos all around them. 97% of people are happy with casual conversation, with regular entertainment. Only a very, very tiny percent of people are going to try hard to do something more. Only a very small percentage of people are working on their personal development. And I say percentage. There's a lot of people, like if you're like us who are watching this and you're into personal development, it feels like everybody's into personal development. But what I did yesterday, I stepped outside of my little bubble, my bubble that makes me happy, of people who are like me. And I just wanted to see what else was on YouTube. Like I've recently had this, I did watched a several part webinar series or whatever you call it about YouTube, about growing a YouTube channel and making viral videos, and what makes a viral video, and how do you get over 1 million views on your video. And the person who was teaching it had like 5 or 7 of their students talking about that they never thought it'd be possible, and they wanted to do. So I looked up the channels for those people, because I'm like, wow, these people are making viral videos. Let me see, what kind of video gets 10 million views. Okay. And what I found was very interesting things. So the videos that get like 10 million views are very short. They're like 5 minutes, 6 minutes long. And they are really geared towards low-level thinking. I mean, I'm not trying to be a snob. I felt snobbish when I was watching it, because I was like, what? Seriously? Like, this is getting 10 million views, this crap, But I was like, this is what people are watching. So, and then on the other hand, so in my feed on YouTube, always there's the Michelle and Amy show. So like, no matter what I put in, it'll pepper it, with the things that you like and the things that you've watched. So as I'm scrolling through the videos that have gotten millions of views, even the ones about Etsy, the ones that have gotten like, 32,000 views about how to run an Etsy shop. Michelle's video has gotten like 141 views. And then this other video, this total crap, where somebody's ranting about what they don't like about Etsy and what they don't get about this and this policy change and blah, 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 has gotten all these thousands of views. A little short video, Michelle and Amy's shows are gold. They are gold nuggets. And so I'm like, this is what people want. So that and something else that happened last night told me that most people are not into making their lives better. They're not into making the tough changes. They're not trying to make these significant changes in their personal development to make them better people. And it was like, duh, I mean, I already knew that, but just to see it that way, I was like, wow. And then my friend put like this poll on a Facebook page, and it got so much engagement and conversation, and everybody was really into it and invested in it. And it was like a very shallow question. It didn't have any consequence whatsoever. And so I woke up this morning to looking at that, the response to that, because even somebody tried to get into it with me. And I'm like, dude, this is like I don't even think about this kind of stuff on a daily basis, right? And they're just like, well, why do you think blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, seriously, this is what you're spending your time wondering? You know, that's like asking, why does the sun set in the west? Like, who cares, right? It has nothing to do with you. It's your opinion. My opinion is fine. So it just reinforced that idea that most people are not trying to make their lives better. So when you are trying to make your life better, when you are trying to make a change, if you break out of that mold of like, let me focus on brainless stuff, and you start to say, no, let me be mindful in my life, your mind is going to be like, whoa, let's not get too hasty here. Let's not do anything that's too risky. Just, watch the silly videos on YouTube like everyone else. Be one of the 10 million views. Don't try to watch something that's not mainstream, that's going to actually make you step out of your comfort zone. Don't watch something that's going to make you get up a little earlier and stay up a little later and, put yourself out there. Don't do that. Just stick with what's comfortable. So very early in my personal development, I had to write myself, I still have it actually, it's kind of interesting. I had to write myself a letter and put it on my refrigerator. I'm one of those people who puts notes all over the house, but especially on the refrigerator, the ones I really want to see. And it said, trust yourself. And I remember knowing so clearly, I wrote on the letter, you have been taught not to trust your own decisions. You have been taught to ask someone else for advice, to research and see what the best practice has been in the past. You've been taught not to try to figure out things on your own, to not believe that you have all the answers. But in all honesty, we have all the answers inside of us. And all we have to do is ask and believe that we have it, and then you'll get the answer. So after reading or listening to Do Less by Kate Northrup, I started to practice this egg wisdom. Have you guys heard of this? Have you listened to that book yet, or read it? I guess if you read, if you have the luxury of time and can sit down in one place and read without your children ripping the pages out of your book, like me. So I listen to books when I'm in the car. And in Do Less, she talks about egg wisdom. And I just thought, wow, I'm going to try this. So I've started trying. And egg wisdom basically is the fact that as a woman, you have the strong intuition. And all you have to do, like, you will attract things to yourself, even like on your worst day. You're out there, you're looking crazy, and someone tells you how beautiful you are. And you're just like, really? Because you're radiating this vibe. If you're, in a state of radiating a vibe, it probably doesn't work if you're in a bad mood. But if you're in a good mood, you're in a good place, you're feeling grateful for everything you have, you're just radiating, right? And people are attracted to that. The right people are attracted to that. And she also talks about the fact that you can ask your body for anything that you want. You can ask your body, you can ask your mind. Your cells are infinitely intelligent. They're connected to source, connected to God. You can ask your body questions from the smallest things to the largest things, and you'll get answers. So I started doing this. Like, you can ask yourself, what should I have for breakfast? You ask it and you just leave the question out there. You just go, self, what should I have for breakfast today? And then next thing you know, like, something weird and supernatural will happen where somebody just walks up to you and brings you an apple or a coupon for Denny's or something, just random, and you'll just feel the answer, and then you'll have an answer. You can ask yourself what you should wear to work. You could ask yourself anything. These answers are inconsequential, right? Like, it doesn't matter what you eat, doesn't matter what you wear, but just the fact that you could ask yourself and receive an answer is a pretty big step in learning how to trust yourself. So now, and I'm not saying don't seek counsel. Of course, seek counsel. Of course, have a coach. Of course, have friends that you can ask questions to. Of course, have someone else who sells on Etsy who can tell you what the best practices are. Like, duh, like, don't think that, you can do something all that you've never ever done before just because you ask your eggs. I don't have eggs, by the way. Did I ever tell y'all that? Just because you don't have eggs doesn't mean you don't have egg wisdom. Just because your uterus was taken out doesn't mean that you're not a woman with womanly intuition. Okay. So your heart is going to be your guide. Your mind is going to be your protection. But if you feel fear about doing something or stepping out of your comfort zone, let that be your compass. If you're trying to do, now, if you're not trying to do anything, you just live in status quo and you feel fear, you should probably run. Like if there's a lion there and you feel scared, run away from the lion. But if you're trying to do something big, like you're trying to start a business, or you're trying to live mindfully, or you're trying to change the world, whatever it is that you're trying to do, and you feel fear about it, that should tell you to go forward, not to stop. Go forward with that. Keep going. Keep trying. Keep working on it. Whatever it is that you feel fear of. And I think on Face Your Fears Friday last week, I said make a list. And Face Your Fries. Yeah, fries are good too. Face Your Fear Friday is tomorrow again, and I'm probably going to say the same thing. Make a list. Make a list of all the things that you feel afraid to do right now. By the way, the things I put on my list last week, I did. And I didn't write my list down on paper. I probably will this week, because I think it'd be even more powerful if I wrote it down and I can tick it off. Because last week I just made it in my head and I felt compelled to do it because I had talked about it on camera. So I did those things, and it has moved the needle for me. Like, I feel so much more powerful and I feel trusting of myself. So I'm going to tell you now, and I'm going to tell you tomorrow. Make a list of all the things that you're afraid to do, and start doing them, like, immediately. As soon as you make the list, look on there and see which one is low-hanging fruit, and just be like, you know what? This small thing, I could do this today. Like, one of mine was to cancel my life insurance, and I looked at it and I was like, I could do this right now, basically by sending an email to the company and saying, I want to cancel it. Can you send me the paperwork? And I just did that because it was just an email. I had my phone in my hand anyway, so I just sent an email. Good morning. How are you? Blah, blah, blah. I'm just want to cancel my insurance. Can you send me the paperwork? And that had been a fear of mine. But you know what? After I did that, I wasn't afraid anymore. Like, I was just like, it's done. Like, make a decision and it's done. So that is my advice for today, is to trust your heart, which is the center of your feelings, and don't so much try to rely on logic. Logic is fine, but trust your heart. Don't make decisions based on your pro-con list. Make decisions based on your gut instinct and your gut feelings, and let's see where that takes you, because that's going to be interesting. But I don't think that since I've started doing this, I don't think I've had any moment of regret at all. Like, it's made the difference, a big, big difference in my life. All right. I'm still sick. I am actually at work somewhat on time / early, which I'm excited about because I was really stressed out yesterday. I was so late yesterday. So I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching. And have a wonderful day. It's Thursday. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.